cham champions. Sorry about the champions. I'm really sorry.
And by the way, I just reached 1,000 subscribers and
alright, I finished all 10 topics now.
Hello, today I want to read one IELTS book. I think it's really helpful. That's the reason I want to read it now. I want to read from the beginning to the end in one video, in one sit. I want to somehow show that you can do it as well at your home. And yeah, this is a really helpful book. I'll try to show the picture here if I can. It means I added a little bit editing. If I didn't, I didn't. So alright. So now I start from the very beginning until the end. Please stay tuned, otherwise and keep watching. Otherwise, this video may not reach a wider audience. So now I'll start reading from the very beginning. So it starts from with the author, introduction from the author. So let's get started. There are two parts of the IELTS exam in which the test asks some question and you must create independent response. Speaking test and writing test, many people do not realize that the IELTS system uses group of 10 key topics and formulate all of the questions in the speaking and writing. If you understand these 10 topics and above all, if you know some advanced vocabulary on each topic to use in your speaking and writing answers, you can make a huge difference to your IELTS band score, even if your English contains mistakes. This book introduces you to the 10 IELTS topics. Each of our 10 models summarize various elements of topic and give example academic task to writing task exactly like ones you will see in the exam. It also explains how to answer the writing task. Each model then teaches a large amount of vocabulary related to the model topic contained in a Band 9 model. It says so that you see how the words are used in IELTS writing. Each model has a clear to follow definition of each word or phrase and further example of how to use these topic words against speaking part of the test so that you are ready to use vocabulary in both writing and speaking. If you're not yet familiar with the different types of IELTS academic writing task essays, please start by reading our overview from the table of contents. If you have already read our other books on this concept, please go straight to the topic models to begin expanding your IELTS vocabulary. If you're not yet familiar with the different parts of IELTS speaking test, please consider reading our Band 9 speaking book for help, either before or after you finish this book. If you need a dictionary while using this book, we recommend the free Cambridge dictionaries online from Cambridge University Press. Don't just trust the luck in your IELTS exam. The key is expert advice. So Jessica Alnert and Peter Swartz, Cambridge IELTS consultants, Cambridge IELTS at outlook.com. Okay. So how to use this book? This book will teach you very large amount of vocabulary, exactly the types of IELTS examiner want to see and hear from you in the exam. Covering the 10 IELTS topics, it's important that you prepare to answer questions on all of the 10 topics because they all may be used in the test. Therefore, do not start by training to remember all the words from Model 1, then all words from Model 2 and so on. Try to learn and practice a small number of words from Model 1 to 10 at first and then slightly larger group of words from Models 1 to 10 and so on. In this way, you will develop a wide IELTS vocabulary on all these topics and not become special in just one topic. Just not one topic, alright. Frequently asked questions about IELTS vocabulary topics. Why does IELTS exam use the 10 topics all the time? The IELTS test manager believes that these topics are most suited to advanced academic discussion in the world today, and also people who take IELTS should have responsible understanding interests regarding these areas. I see that one topic is about agriculture, for example. I know little about this even in my native language. Is this a problem? No. Remember that IELTS speaking and academic writing, you are not expected to know specialized technical words and understand complex issues. Vocabulary expected is what a normal person can meet when reading in the media, newspaper, popular websites and magazines on these subjects. Don't worry if you think some of these topics seem too advanced. The vocabulary that we show will enable you to answer questions in these areas quite easily with some practice. Do I need to remember all the words in the book? You should try to remember group words on each topic and practice using them in your writing and speaking. People have different styles of memory or focus. We believe that typical IELTS candidates should be able to learn and use at least 10 new words and phrases for each of 10 topics. This should make a massive difference to strengthen of your IELTS writing and speaking. Will this book help me with reading and listening IELTS tests? Yes, because the 10 topics also used to formulate the reading and listening materials. The reading and listening papers will additionally contain some quite special vocabulary, but the IELTS tests are carefully designed so that you should be able to get high band even if you don't know more specialized language. Alright, so let's get started with the topic 1, work and career. About the topic 1, the work and career topic includes issue, opportunities and problems at work, ways of motivating, rewarding workers, and the work-life balance, change in patterns of jobs and work. For example, the growth in working from home. So career choice and training, occasionally the relationship between government, business or industries are. You're not expected to know any vocabulary connected to special area or finance and marketing and so on. Expected one, a topic 1 example task. Some employers offer their employees subsidized membership of gym and sport clubs, believing that this will make their staff healthier and those more effective at work. Other employees see no benefit in doing so. Consider argument from both aspects of this possible debate and reach a conclusion. Explanation of this task. This is opinion and discussion type task. You should introduce a topic present towards 3 ideas of each side and discussion, and then give your own opinion in conclusion. So if you are not already familiar with these different types of IELTS academic task 2 essay, please see the overview at the end of the book. It is essential to be familiar with these different essay types before you take the exam. The following model essay shows you word phrase which you can see increase your band score when discussing topic, and both writing and speaking the keywords are highlighted in the bold. Alright, band 9 model essay. Employers are always seeking ways to enhance their employees' productivity, and subsidizing healthy pursuits may be one way of achieving this. There are arguments on both sides, however, which we will discuss here. On the one hand, it might be said that if workers are fitter and less stressed, their working time will be more efficient, leading to higher level of output and service. Furthermore, the work-life balance of the staff will hopefully be improved because their leisure time will be more fulfilling. This way even be more motivating than pay increments, perks, financial rewards such as bonus and activity, which may be hard to attain. Finally, feeling healthier may lead to better job satisfaction, which is in itself a motivating factor. Conversely, the problem with such leisure-based subsidies is that effective is virtually impossible to quantify. For example, with a target-related payment, employer can at least see whether the objectives are reached or not. It may also be said if the budget was spent on, for instance, on the job training or their release programs, employees would achieve better career progression and have better job prospects. These matters are all easier to measure, especially in performance reviews and appraisals, and may even have to reduce the risk of redundancy. If the company restructured, downside and outsource if it were workforce, overall it seems that while health-related subsidies are superficially attractive and lack of measurability is substantial drawbacks, sending funding and ongoing training would appear to be better than the use of company on human resource budgets. 259 words. Explanation of topic vocabulary in example in speaking. These words or phrases are listed in the order that they appear in the essay. Productivity, ability of people to produce useful results at work. Example of using this vocabulary item in the IELTS test speaking. My country is not as advanced as some other countries in our industrial sectors. Productivity and quality are still quite low. Important, please remember that these extra example sentences are designed to show you ways of using this vocabulary in IELTS speaking, and so the example may include contraction, don't etiquette, and personal stories about their speaker and their familiar strengths. This is fine in the speaking, but that's not writing, which should never have contraction or personal stories. The speaking example also sometimes includes less formal words such as really or good. Again, these words are acceptable in speaking, but try to use more formal writing in writing, such as substantially or positive.
to subsidize, to pay part of the cost of something, usually in order to help people. Example of using this vocabulary in item IELTS speaking test: the government could encourage children to be healthier by subsidizing swimming lessons or sport approach at weekends. Output, amount of work or good produced. In Europe, industrial output has decreased, maybe because competition from producers in other countries. Work-life balance, ability to work hard but also enjoy good quality of life, social life. People are working long hours these days, so the work-life balance is affected, leading to stress. To motivate people, to give them positive reasons for working hard. If employers are given regular feedback, they will probably be motivated and committed. Pay increment, pay rise increases. In many countries, pay increments have been very low because of financial crisis. Perks, reward from an employer which are not financial, free lunch or car, etc. Personally, I don't like to work for a company that gives a lot of perks, because I would find this very. Personally, I'd like to work. Sorry about that. I'd like to work for a company that gives a lot of perks, because I would find this very enjoyable. Financial rewards, any form of money, payment, salary, commission, pensions, etc. Being a primary teacher may be satisfying, but the financial rewards are not high. Bonuses, money given in addition to salary, usually in return of achieving targets. Apparently, some investments bankers can earn millions of dollars in bonuses. Incentivity, any rewards that make people work harder. Some employers offer vacation or parties as incentives if the team hits its elite sales target. Job satisfaction, in employment of job for non-financial reasons. I get a lot of job satisfaction from my work at the village center, at the wildlife center, although the financial rewards are quite low. Target related, dependent on hitting a target. My boss once offered me target related boss, but it was almost impossible to achieve on the job training while working and not by leaving work to go college. My sister has found that one job training she gets at her bank is very useful, and she has progressed well because of this. Ongoing training through your time in job, not just at the start. I enjoyed my work at the airline at first, but soon found out there was no ongoing training and my skills weren't really developed. They release programs of training education when employees can spend entire days at work. I feel that employers should be much more flexible regarding training, for example, by subsidizing their release programs or jobs exchange with other companies. Career progression, the ability to advance your career. The problem with being a freelance photographer is that there is no real career progression unless you become very famous. Job prospects, possibility of promotion or higher level work in the future. I remember an interview when the employer told me were exactly job prospects in the firm, you young people. In reality, this was not really true. Alright. Wow, this was not really true. Alright. To measure the absolute dimensions of something, job satisfaction may be important, but can you really measure it? Alright. Superficial, not addressing the deeper or important issues. I'm not a big fan of traditional music. I find the lyrics are rather old-fashioned and superficial for modern listeners. Performance reviews and appraisals, meeting at which employer gives feedback to worker or other over a fixed period. I remember being worried about my job at first, but at my 6 months appraisal, my manager told me she was pleased with my efforts. Redundancy, situation where workers lose their job because of changes in company, not because of personal mistakes, were to make someone redundant. In my hometown, the textile factories have closed and many people have been made redundant. To restructure, to change organization of company, usually not to make it more effective or to save money. We used to have a large targeting department, training department in my office, but in our recent restructure it was eliminated and the staff were made redundant. To downsize, to make an organization smaller and employ a few people. My father's college used to employ almost 1,000 people, but now it's downsized and now has less than 500. The outsource to stop doing work inside the company and send it to other companies or the countries, usually to save money. Many American companies have outsourced their IT operations to Asian countries where productivity is similar and salaries are lower. As a workforce, total number of people working in an organization, company, or your country. The workforce of North Europe is skilled, but it's also flexible and much older than in other parts of the world. Human resources, the department in a company which manages recruitment, employment, and training. When graduates, I plan to work in human resource area of oil industry, possibly in the Middle East. Alright, summary of topic 1. This completes our model model for topic 1. Remember, please don't try to memorize all the words immediately. Go through the whole book 1, model 1 and to 10. Try to practice using small group of small models and go back and expand each vocabulary array. So, topic 2, education and schooling. Topic 2. The education and schooling topic includes technique, teaching methods and resource approach to exam testing, school management, people motivation, behavior, discipline, school sports, etc. circuit activities, higher further education and course finding. Topic 2, example tasks. The internet will never replace traditional course books in the schools. How far do you agree with this prediction? Explanation of this topic. This is an opinion, personal viewpoint type essay. It asks how far you agree with an idea. In other words, to what extent. You should introduce the topic and give your opinion and introductions and explain why you have this view. You should briefly consider opposing views, then restate your opinion. In conclusion, notice how this essay type is different from opinion discussion type, which we saw in topic 1, which asks you to discuss both sides of debate. In Band 9 model, I said there is a huge range of resources available to the modern teacher, and the right selection is crucial in delivering effective lessons. I agree that there will always be place for course books in the school curriculum, despite many benefits of the internet. First, course books, whether conventional or digital, have been developed by pedagogical experts and designed to be incorporated into subject syllabus. Leading testing producers such as form examination and continuing assessment. This means that they are proven to improve students' academic achievement, enhancing their potential for progression or further higher education. Furthermore, the use of modern course books allows people to consider their studies as part of work, hopefully making their lessons less teacher-led and more autonomous learning. This in itself teaches study skills such as independent research and ethnic sources rather than old-fashioned rote learning. This is where the internet, in fact, can play a useful part to supplement and add to knowledge which the students are assimilating via their course books. However, it is the role of teachers and school management generally to ensure the use of internet remains a guided learning process and not exercise in data gathering from the internet source, which may be unreliable or even misleading. It is true that internet can be invaluable for adults, for example, distance learning or self-study models who are able to discriminate between source and sift information or marshal their facts. However, this is a mature skill, and we should not assume that schools age people people are ready to do this. Overall, it appears that course books with their quality and depth of material are set to remain an integral part of the syllabus. The internet can be judged and useful supplement to this if used carefully and under suspicion. 304 words. Explanation of the topic vocabulary. Example in IELTS speaking curriculum. Full range of subjects offered by school or group of schools. The curriculum in private school is sometimes wider than the state schools because they have more resources, pedagogical experts in education and teaching. I admire pedagogical pioneers such as Victorian English thinkers who began free schools for all children. Syllabus, the content of elementary taught in specific subject syllables. For geography at my school included volcanoes, earthquakes, and tidal waves, which we found fascinating. Formal examinations, exams where students answered set written or spoken questions without assistance. Continuous assessment, giving students mark for coursework or project rather than formal exams. At my school, our grades were based 50 or formal examination and continuous assessment, which we thought was very fair to all children. Academic achievement is a measurable performance. Students in mark exam results. In my country, children enjoy schools, but academic achievement is frankly quite low. Further education after leaving school at minimum age. Some governments encourage further education by allowing teenagers to claim benefits while they study. Higher education after college, 18 at college, university, usually for degree. When I press IELTS, I plan to go to higher education, Canada, or do a degree in engineering. Group work study where pupils discuss the agree project together. Personally, I think Group work enables lazy children to do less work than eager ones. Teacher-led lessons, traditional lessons where teacher delivers a long talk and students take notes. In my country, lessons are still very teacher-led, and interaction is rather limited. Autonomous learning, autonomous learning, when student learns through independent study and research. Autonomous. At university, you are expected to be an autonomous learner from far more than at high schools, which is quite exciting for me. Study skills, the skills of organizing, using, take study work. My study skills were rather weak until I read the excellent book by Japanese pedagogical expert. To synthesis course, synthesize course. Oh, it's hard one to pronounce. Sorry about that. To use radio source and combine them in one project. I use internet in my course. I always cite to other information to seek course knowledge, publicity, rote learning per repetition, and memorizing item. I used to think that rote learning was negative approach, but my recent expertise teaching in South Africa school have changed my view. To supplement, to add extra content and material. My supervisor said that I should supplement my essay with more examples, experiment to assessment knowledge, to absorb and understand it. I always use a dictionary when I study English to help me assimilate new phrases. Guide learning under the supervision of teacher. Learning primary school should always contain guided learning, otherwise children will lose focus. Data gathering, collecting information usually. Sorry about that. Data gathering when collecting information usually numerical form. Mobile phone companies employ many people in data gathering tasks to see how users are using phones and internet. Distance learning by the internet or the email rather than face-to-face. My mother took an entire degree by distance learning over a period of 5 years. Studies, self-study, studying using course without teachers' involvement. There are many self-study guides improve your English, and some of them are actually quite good. To discriminate between courses, to decide whether one course is better or more reliable than other courses. So children should not study using unsupervised internet access because they can't discriminate between sources of information they find. Alright, that's a good one. To sift information, to remove unwanted or less useful information. I had to sift hundreds of pages of data to arrive at my conclusion when I did my TFIT. To marshal facts, to organize facts in support of an idea. In IELTS essay, you should marshal 3 facts to support each idea and argument. Integral part of the syllabus, central and indispensable. Nutrition is an integral part of food science these days. To work study under supervision, under direction or response person. At college, I discovered I did not have to work under supervision at all time. I was free to do independent research. Alright, topic 3, children and families. Topic 3, children. Topic 3. Alright, the children and families topic includes children, psychology and development, ways of bringing up children, family discipline, child care, per school learning, personal parental roles, family structures and roles, for example, nuclear intended families, adolescent, teenagers, and elderly family members. Important, please remember that the topics I used in a different ways in writing and speaking part IELTS test and the academic writing test so you should present idea or opinion about society in general, but not about your personal life. In IELTS speaking test exam will always ask you both about society in general in speaking part 3 and also about your personal life, country and background in speaking parts 1 and 2 with controversial topics such as families and health. Some candidates become confused about this difference, but it's about absolutely essential to remember if you want to achieve higher band. Topic 3 example task. Some people believe that children should spend all of their free time with their families. Others believe that this is unnecessary or even negative. Discuss both possible arguments on both sides and say which side you personally support. Explanation of task 1. This is another opinion discussion type task. You should introduce a topic, present 2 or 3 ideas on each side of the discussion and then give your opinion and conclusion. Remember that this opinion discussion task might be expressed in different ways. To look for the instruction keyword this discussion and in each synonym such as debate and consider reviews. Band 9 model essays. Band 9. Nobody can deny that parental influence is important for children, at least in case where children live with their parents. Foster parents or guardians, however, it is by no means clear that the children should spend time exclusively in their family, as well as we will see. On the other hand, it may appear advisable for parents to act as role models and establish ground rules and behaviors by spending much time as possible with their children. This allows the youngsters to absorb convention and code of conduct which they can follow themselves, hopefully leading to absence of problems such as bullying, truancy, and delinquency. Later on, furthermore, being with the family should reduce risk of children falling victim of crimes such as abduction and coming under influence, negative peer pressure. On the one hand, we have to ask whether this is a practical position in society where many families are dual income or where one parent's role as breadwinner means that he or she is away from the family for long period. It's inevitable for children cannot spend all their time with family. Child minding and after school child care are often used to indicate and managed properties. This can be perfectly viable alternatives. Equally, it seems that children can in some cases learn considerable amount from their peers in addition to adults, and allowing them to pay without direct supervision may be benefit. To conclude, it appears that while family time is essential for bonding and absorbing parents of behavior, the definite advantages when children are outside the family too. This is provided that they are in safe, well-behaved environment with peers and themselves responsible, well brought up. Explanation of topic, vocabulary, and example in speaking today. Foster parents. People who have children living in their existing family for a fixed period, with the original parent's argument being foster parent is difficult and tiring role. I can imagine. Guardians. People who are legally appointed to protect child interests in absence of parents. In some countries, the government appoints guardian if the parent die or experience severe difficulty. Role model. People that children look to and respect as a good example. In some countries, family are good role models for youngsters, although in their case it's not. This is not. In other cases, it's not the case. That's good word. Ground rules, basic rules. Government may the way people can behave in situations during school holidays. My parents had strict ground rules for what we could do outside. Conventions, traditions, or social norms that most people follow. It's convention for grandparents to live with their children. In many countries, codes of conduct, voluntary rules which people accept the situation. The Boy Scouts have firm code of conduct which seem to be positive influence. Bullying. When children attack and intimidate other children, bullying could be reduced through better awareness and positive peer pressure in schools. Truancy. When people leave school without permission, work, or to play truant from school. I must confess that at secondary school I sometimes play truant and went to the park with my friends. Delinquency, minor or crime, often by younger people. Delinquency is a huge problem in urban areas, especially when the policing is minimal. Abduction, the crime of kidnapping people for criminal reasons. Children abduction is a great concern for many parents, especially in South America. Peer pressure, the pressure from people in the same group act in a certain way. Many children start smoking due to peer pressure or bad role models. Dual income family where both father and mother work. In many countries, a dual income family is no norm nowadays. Breadwinner is a person who earns most of the money in family. In some families, the father is still only breadwinner. Child minding, caring informally, not in a school. For parents, when children are busy or working. In some countries, the state subsidizes the cost of child marketing. After school child care, caring for children in a school setting as above. Many families rely on after school child care because both parents work and committed. Viable, practical, and possible to achieve. It is not really viable to expect all children to get the maximum grades in exam. peers, people in the same group or level as yourself. Many of my peers from school are now working for charities. Bonding, developing close emotional connection between people. Festivals and parties are ideal time for families to bond. Patterns of behavior, way of acting, doing something easy, positive or negative. Unfortunately, some children observe dangerous patterns or behaviors when watching movies or playing computer games. Well brought up to bring up children to raise and educate them in your own moral behavior or religious contexts. I was brought up in a very religious family and I seem to have absorbed their values. Oh God. And now we reach the page 29. We still have more than 45, around 45 pages. Okay, I keep continuing. Oh God, I don't want to say that. Alright, topic for nature, environment and energy. About topic for nature, environment and energy. Topic includes fossil fuels, renewable fuels, climate change threats and the environment, deforestation, pollution, cancer effects, biosphere, and animal life, human attitudes, animals. In this topic, remember to show that you can write an impersonal academic. You can write in an impersonal academic way even if you feel strongly about something. Remember that emotional words such as terrible, shocking, disgusting, wonderful, fantastic, brilliant cannot be used in academic English essays of this type. You can use academic such as relatable, worrying, inadvisable, admirable, helpful, invaluable instead, which are more accepted in these situations. This topic is often used as an idea cause effect type tasks. Topic for example task. Pollution of rivers, lakes and seas is a major concern for people who seek to protect the environment. What are the possible causes of water pollution and what effects does this have on animal life and human society? This is an idea cause effect. This is an idea cause and effect type task. It does not ask for your opinion, but it wants you to seek up some possible ideas on this topic. You should introduce the topic, describe 2 or 3 causes and 2 or 3 effects, and then substitute briefly. Band 9 model. I said water contamination is a serious form of pollution and one that can be challenging to rectify. There seem to be 2 main causes involved with a variety of damaging effects on people and the biosphere, which we will discuss here. Probably the main factor is the issue emissions from car factories and human activities. These emissions contain damaging pollutant particles which can contaminate rainwater runoff and those enter the water cycle by transferring through the water table into aquifers, streams and rivers. Filtration and processing and not really viable options for such large volumes of water, and so the water table remains tainted with this element over long periods, as we see in Eastern Europe today. In situations where oil erosion and logging have already damaged the local environment, the accumulation can be very serious. The other major cause is accidental artillery damaging in waste product and placed outside the control of landfill and waste processing in centers. Even small amount of abandoned waste can enter water supply through ground, often undetected. The effects on animal life can be severe, especially for species which are already endangered by such threats as poaching, habitat loss, and food chain destruction. Contaminated water can lead to dwindling numbers or even potential extinction, as many indeed happen to Asian tiger population. The impact of human society can also be distressing, including poisoning of drinking water, famine and drought due to lack of safe irrigation, and long-term loss of land, as well as sea. For example, those published buffalo poisoning catastrophe in India. Such effects tend to have especially grave impact in very poorest in society with the least resource to counter environmental effects. Overall, we see the emotions and damping are the main origins of problem, and that the effects on both humans and animals are exacerbated by existing environmental criminal society problems. I gotta drink water. I'm still sitting, alright? I'm still sitting. Yeah. Looks good, right? Oh God. Alright, continue. Explanation on the topic, vocabulary, and example in speaking. Contamination, pollution by poisoning or dangerous elements. The atmosphere in a large city is often contaminated by smoke, and as we can see in China, the biosphere, relationship between all living things on the planet. Children should be educated on the biosphere through field tips and practical experiment. Emissions, gas, entertaining atmosphere. Science spends their whole career studying effects of emission on the climate. Pollutant particles. Alright, this is for this. I'm seeing this for the first time. Right. Microscope element of pollution. What the hell is it? Microscope element of pollution. Why would I need this word? I remember going to factory and seeing snow covered with pollutant particles. Runoff water that run off from the ground into river and lakes. We should try to collect and use more runoff water to avoid having recycled water so much. The water cycle. Sorry about that. Alright, zoom off. But we continue, right? Water cycle is a natural process of water moving from clouds to rain and seas. Scientists believe that the water cycle is responsible for various natural events, especially in the contrary areas, aquifers, and underground neutral water sources. My family have well which connects an aquifer, giving very pure water. Filtration is a process of filtering, removing impurities. Water filtration might be solution to water shortage in very hot countries. Water table, layer of water below ground. In my town, water table is very high, and what will appear even in small hole, tainted, polluted, or contaminated. The Mediterranean is badly tainted in some areas by sewage pollution, Mediterranean, or soil erosion. There is a loss of soil by wind and rain activity. Deforestation has increased soil erosion seriously in Brazil. Logging, cutting down trees for timber industrial use. Logging has endangered many species throughout the world. Dumping living waste deliberately without storing or treating it. In some countries, dumping rubbish is a criminal offense. Waste any material do not wanted or needed after process. In my country, we use waste from cotton manufacturers for lighting trees in landfills, organizing areas where waste is buried in the ground. Surprisingly, Britain still sends most of its domestic waste to landfill sites. Waste processing, recycling, or reducing waste into manageable form. My brother has waste processing company which is subsidized by local authority. Poaching, illegally hunting and killing animals. Elephant poaching should be much higher priority for the world authorities, as elephants are endangered species. Habitat loss, destruction, or disappointing of animals' nature form. Logging has caused substantial habitat loss for wildlife in many countries. Food chain, natural system of animal eating other animals and plants. The food chain has been distributed by the loss of certain species with a widespread impact on all animals. Dwindling numbers or dwindling city decline in quantity. States seem to have a dwindling funding to pay for animal sanctuaries, although they are still be able to pay for government officials and their parks extension to final deaths of all animals in a species. This dinosaur extinction may have been caused by meteor or volcano, but science seem unsure about this. Famine situation where there is a lack of food in an area for long periods of time, and many singers help make charity songs to raise funds for famine relief. Drought similar to famine but lack of water. Drought in Central Africa can continue for many years apparently. Integration. Sorry about that, it's not integration, it's irrigation. Irrigation, supplying water for land agriculture. If you want a quick solution to famine, better irrigation and farming methods would be probably the first step. Catastrophe, a great disaster affecting many people. The continuing destruction of the rainforest is a catastrophe for biological diversity. Exacerbate to make existing problem worse. Extended derivative famine in Africa has been exacerbated by civil war and political instability. So now we reached topic 5. It means we have, after finishing this topic 5, we have 5 more topics, so I can continue already. About topic 5, culture, art and traditions. The culture, art and traditions topic include informal human folklore, ceremonies and ritual, myths and legends, society, curriculum, tradition, language, dress, arts, and the impact of modern life on traditional lifestyle and difference in national habits. Personally, remember that IELTS will not ask specifically about religion, politics, and spiritual beliefs, and you should not base your answer in the writing speaking test on your personal belief in the areas. You should not, alright? For example, if the task asks whether you agree with certain idea, you should get low mark if you say yes because my religion agrees with this, because my parents has my present has this philosophy. You can certainly use a religious or political situation as evidence or example to support an argument, but not as starting point. For example, you should give money to charity because it benefits us, as we can see from example in countries where religious observance requires people to do this regularly. This is more logical and academic way to respond. Topic 5, example task. In many countries, traditional dress and customs are considered the effective way of maintaining links in the past. How effective can traditional consume be in this sense? What are the ways of exist help citizens connect with the country's past? This is an idea. Evaluate type. I say it. It does not ask for your opinion about whether customers are good or bad, but it asks for you to decide whether these customs are effective or not effective way of feminine links with the past and suggest other ways of connecting the past. You should say how effective customs are with example and evidence, and then compare their effectiveness to some other possible ways of connecting the past. Remember that ideas evaluate means that you should compare things in a way that they are used in society, but not decide on your personal preference about these things. Band 9 model essay. Alright, Band 9 model essay. Most people would agree that preserving connection with our past is an admirable objective, especially as the world evolves so rapidly. I feel that traditional customs are one part of doing this, but they are by no means the most important, as we shall see. Admittedly, historic dress play a key role in society. Events such as religious rituals or military parades, and these events are helpful in transmitting social memes such as public duty and self-sacrifice. Traditional customs also remain us of the original cultural traditions and mythologies. For instance, historic Swiss national dress, which invokes their medieval independence. However, it must be said that customs are unnecessary accessory in this situation and do not appear in constitute a central message. It is ceremonies themselves which convey cultural norms to help maintain fabric of society. In this sense, the costume of secondary importance. Furthermore, it seems that in fact much more powerful way in which culture is conserved and handed down between generations. Most countries have rich heritage and lands and folklore by the birth and development of their nation, some of which mythological and some being grounded in the truth, as we see in English stories about Robin Hood, George and the Dragon. For example, these stories are cultural inheritance and which embodies important syllables and concepts for more effectively than stress. Similarly, we must remember the significance of art and music in passing on our tradition in forms ranging from fine art and handcraft and from other opera, traditional chanties and digees. Preserve ritual and linguistic message in their media, make them more effective than costume which convey no longer. Overall, we must recognize and the costume of use traditional dress in helping maintaining our culture. However, the forms of society, art and the music would appear to be the driving force in the invaluable processes. 321 words. Explanation of topic, vocabulary, and example in the speaking. Okay, to preserve, to protect and keep something usually because it's valuable for some reason. The state preserves ancient buildings because they are part of our heritage. Rituals, highly traditional and ceremonies which have meaning for the participants. In some countries, wedding rituals can continue for several days. Parades, organized possessions in public by a group of people, usually to some commemoratory event. In my hometown, we have a military for each year to make our Independence Day, to transmit the committee message, literal and symbolic. The monarchy transmits symbols of power through dress and rituals, social memes, social habits, or patterns which are transmitted between people. In Britain, punctuality is a social meme. Public duty. The willingness to serve the public or the state. Civil servant needs sense of public duty. Self-sacrifice. Willingness to suffer or die for cause. We remember self-sacrifice for our wartime generation each year. Cultural tradition. Caring. Culture important. Hospitality is a great cultural tradition in Mediterranean countries. Okay, mythology and myth, a classic story from past which people know is not true, but which carries meaning. There are old myths about gigantic animal in many parts of the countryside to bring back memories or feelings. Our national flag invokes strong emotion whenever we see it. Medieval, adjusted for Middle Age, roughly 1050 and 1400 in European history. France has some superb medieval architecture which I saw on my gap year. Ceremonies similar to ritual, usually involving people in authority, government efforts, office with a long ceremony and presidential places. Cultural norms, standards, expected behavior or ideas. In some countries, marriage between cousins and cultural norms is fabric of society, is a way that society is connected and maintained. Drugs and crimes are damaging fabric society. To conserve synonym to preserve. Conservation of all treasure is the main role of our city museum. To hand something down from one generation to the next one, to pass it from parents to children and to their children. Cultural values have been handed down for hundreds of years, but now they are starting to disappear. Heritage, something inherited, received, handed down by one generation from the previous generation. Our countryside is part of our national heritage, and we should preserve it carefully. Legends similar to myths, but sometimes contains element of reality. Robin Hood is a British legend, although most historians agree the character is based on a real person. Folklore, old stories and myths, legends usually transmitted verbally. African folk is rich in stories of gods and monsters. Inheritance is synonym of heritage. Our greatest inheritance as a nation is our independence and fighting spirit. Fine art by famous and acclaimed painters. Florence in Italy is a key destination for lovers of fine art, handcraft skill of making objects by hand and also objects themselves. Many indigenous people make a living by selling handcraft to tourists. Opera, very formal play with a musical score. La Scala is the name of famous opera venue in Italy, which I'd like to visit. Shanties and dirges were traditional songs about basic subject. Children sometimes sing shanties at primary school. Linguistics, objective meaning about language. Linguistic skills essential for tour guide and modern economy way of communicating. Folklore is very effective media transmitting our cultural heritage. The phrase media is used to mean all newspaper, broadcast, websites and magazines commenting on the issue in the country. The president resigned due to pressure from the media who disliked his policies. Okay, topic 6, healthcare, health and sport. About the topic healthcare, health and sport. Topic includes health problems and disability, physical and mental way of keeping fit and healthy, diet, nutrition, exercise, way of providing and educating people about healthcare and health service, medical innovation and treatment, the benefits of management, common sport. This is one topic especially where you need to remember not to give personal thoughts about yourself or people that you know in the task writing. Topic 3, example task. Many doctors are concerned about high use of computer games by children and young people. What mental and physical problem might arise from exercise use of these gyms? How could these problems be reduced? Explanation of the task 2. This is an idea, problem, solution, task, type task. It does not ask about whether computer games are good or not, but about your idea reward regarding the possible mental and physical problems due to the excessive use, and also any solutions that you can think of. You should introduce the topic, describe 2 or 3 problems, then 2 or 3 solutions, and then summarize. Notice that the task asks about mental and physical problems, so you should say something on each type of problems. Band 9 model essay. Children appear to enjoy playing video games, and while the undoubtable benefits, various negative effects stem from this too. Let us consider the main issue and then outline possible remedies. Perhaps a major physical problem is a sedentary lifestyle which these games encourage, meaning that youngsters may incline to obesity or inadequate development. I'm sitting as well here to read this. Alright. Oh God, I'll continue. Wait. I got it, right? Added to this is a strain in eyesight resulting from excessive use of screen and consoles, meaning that children may suffer symptoms of poor vision. They are also concerned about impairment flexible due to the relative nature and the hand muscles when playing these games, and about the poor diet of convenience food which often accompanies this lifestyle. The most alarming psychological impact of such activities is possibility of risk addiction, meaning becoming obsessed with games and unable to socialize with family or peers. The undermines the important skills, making them underperform both academically and socially. So turning the possible solution, perhaps immediate step would be to promote more active lifestyle through the exercise regime or sports programs, which would help to detoxify their lifestyle of children affected. This could be done through sponsorship of sports or participants in competitive events such as race or match, hopefully ameliorating physical effects of excessive games. Or potential remedies for danger, mental addiction may be firstly an initiative or raise awareness of risks and situations. For example, those health warnings on games packaging through high-profile spokespersons spending the such as message. For example, if sport campaigns and figure holders speak out about the dangers, this message may well get through to children. To sum up, the risks posed by excessive gaming are connected to unhealthy lifestyle and the possibility of dependency on the activity. Possible answers might involve stronger education about danger and health benefits, and more active pursuits. Explanation of topic, vocabulary, and example in speaking. To stem from, to come or derive from, often used in negative things. A lot of delinquencies these days stem from the use of drugs or alcohol. Sedentary lifestyle, a lifestyle where people sit for long periods and are generally inactive. I used to keep fit, but since I started working as an architect, my lifestyle had become mostly sedentary. Obesity is a medical condition of being seriously outweighed. In some countries, obesity is a major cause of death among young adults. Inadequate development, insufficient or obstructive growth of the body. If children smoke, this can cause inadequate development of their lungs and brain strain, stress, or overwork, physical, mental. Had to take a vacation due to strain of working such long hours. Symptoms indication that medical problems is present. A sore throat and headache are symptoms of cold or flu. Impairment, verb to impair, hinder, damage, inability. His hearing was impaired when he heard loud explosion as a child. Poor lifestyle, died without sufficient nutrition. My throat. I'm dehydrating. I'll continue. Poor diet, lifestyle, diet without sufficient nutrition, malnutrition happen due to the poor diet and lack of medical care. The diet can also mean program or reduce stored calories intended to help to lose weight. My sister is always trying new diet because she wants to lose 2 kilos before summer. Convenience food which is cooked in a packaging, usually in microwave. Rich and American people eat large amount of convenience food. Addiction is a state of being unable to live without something. Many young people addicted to social media or the internet. use. To socialize, to meet with friends and other people in friendly way. At the weekends, I like to socialize at parties and cafes with my old friends. In interpersonal skills, the skills of dealing with people successfully. My boss used to be very annoying, but then he went on a course to develop proper interpersonal skills to underperform, to perform below your peer or expectations. My football team are underperforming badly this year. Active lifestyle with proper exercise and fitness. The government tries to promote an active lifestyle, but this is not successful. Regime, program, plan, system, or exercise, diet, or sport. Adopted vegetarian regime for 3 months before my exam. Regime also means very restrictive government. In the 1970s, many South American countries were ruled by political regimes. Alright, detoxify your body, remove impurities and poisons. I went to clinic detoxify because I was eating too much fatty food. Sponsorship, payment from company to sponsor other activity. In return, public publicity. Motor racing is often sponsored by energy drink brand. Participants, to participate in something, to join and take part in it. Participated in wrestling when I was at college, then I gave up. Competitive, the adjective of competition. Canadians are very competitive about ice hockey teams. Ameliorating physical effects. To ameliorate, to make problem less damaging. Effects of his injury were ameliorated by effectiveness. For therapy. Remedies, course on answer to problems situation. There are many remedies for cold and flu available at pharmacy stores. Initiative. A new program or idea, usually in a government or business. We need initiative to tackle obesity, antisocial behavior, and delinquency. Raise awareness, to make people more aware of caring about the issue. We organize marathon to raise awareness of heart disease and way to prevent it through the exercise. Health warning notice on cigarette or alcohol packaging, warning about medical effects. Almost all countries have health warning to tobacco these days. Guys, and experts below. Band 9 model essay. Huge employment is certainly a worrying challenge for most countries, especially at time of economic instability. Social unrest, however, to say that this is the largest issue is to overlook a range of equally pressing matters, as well as we will discuss now. I must admit that joblessness can undermine young person's economic prospects and consequent social mobility. Nevertheless, this issue can be ameliorated by coordinated action between state and the private sectors, as we have seen, for instance, in Canada recently. When this is realized, we can see that other concerns are at least as serious. Foremost among these is perhaps the issue of age demographics, whereby young people bear burden for increasingly elderly population with high longevity. This means that young people will pay higher tax and work longer hours, possibly facing them to migrate to countries where this pressure is lower. The effects of this is a brain-drain situation, which can be seen in Southern Europe. Where young, ambitious people prefer to leave their countries, also exacerbation problem for those remaining. Furthermore, we must remember that substantial portion of young people globally face existential threats such as famine, drought, outbreak, disasters. These problems are often caused by or accompanied by civil war, political instability, or the corruption of people in power locally. Such risks are danger to their safety in addition to their livelihood, so we would appear to be far more serious than unemployment. To conclude, it seems logical to accept that joblessness is a major challenge for young people. However, persistent tendency demographics among developed countries and the persistence of physical dangers in developing countries should be regarded as at least as a severe. 290 words explanation of topic, vocabulary, and example, and speaking. A challenge, problem, or difficulty to be faced. The West faces many challenges due to its aging population, economic or political instability, rapid unmanaged change in country's economic or political situation. Economic instability causes many people to move abroad to seek reliable work. Social unrest, riots, protests or fights by the public against each other or the government. Social unrest is spreading from countries to cities, and political are not response issue. Topic, subject, or question that must be considered. The issue or petrol price inflation is not often discussed in the media. Processing matters, urgent, important issue. I could not go to the college reunion because of more pressing matters at home with my family. Joblessness, synonym for unemployment. Joblessness among older people is actually higher than among recent graduates. Economic prospects. Economic prospects, the future possibility for national economy. Economic prospects for very small countries are quite positive these days. Social mobility, this ability people progress in terms of salaries, lifestyle and social status. The great aid to social mobility is a good education and training is the private sector's private business, and as opposes the public sector maintaining state-owned controlled cities. I definitely want to work in a private sector after graduating. It's more stimulating environment and the public sector. Demographics, the change in society in terms of age, income, numbers, origins, and location in country. Demographic change in Scandinavia have been dramatic, with a substantial immigration and aging indigenous population. Longevity is tendency to have long life expectancy. Japanese people have perhaps the highest longevity in the world. To migrate, to move permanently between countries. Migration within Eurozone is highly controversial issue as a present. Brain drain, tendency of intelligent or successful workers to migrate out country, usually expressed in quotes. Southern Europe experiencing high brain drain these days because of lack of economic prospects, existential threat to existence of life. The economy of many countries face an existential threat from collapsing all revenues, an outbreak state, or widespread problems such as disease and conflict. Outbreak of Ebola is a great concern for doctors globally. Civil war between people inside the country. It will take many years for our nation to recover from civil war of the 1990s. A livelihood way of person make a living. Many villagers will sell handcrafts as this is only livelihood they can find. Developed countries consider to have advanced economies, industries, and social infrastructures. Developed countries contribute aid to those nations but affected by famine. Developing countries not generally considered to be fully developed yet. Literacy is a huge challenge for developing countries to overcome. So, topic 8. Topic 8, the cities and infrastructure. Topic includes organization, urban transport, communication, and housing, tendency in lifestyle and social problems. Social cities such as overcrowding, petty crime, the growth of cities, possible future development in city living, and the comparisons and the rural lifestyle. This topic is often used. Topic does ideas. It is problem, solutions, ideas, cause, effect, types, essays. This also sometimes connection. Topic 9, countryside agriculture. So you may need to combine vocabulary from these two topics. Transport delays and long journey times are widespread phenomenon in many cities today. What are the causes of this problem, and how could this situation be improved? Explanation of the task. This is an idea, mixed cause solution type essay. It does not ask for your opinion but wants you to suggest some ideas about the cause of the problem situation. Also some possible solutions. You should introduce topic, describe 2 or 3 causes and 2 or 3 solutions, and then summarize. Task 3 sometimes mixes cause and effect and problem solution task in this way. You should read the task very carefully to see if it's a mixed step. As a word, problem does not necessarily mean that the problem solution task. Okay. Band 9, model essay. Transportation is an essential part of urban life, and length of journey frustrating, expensive for this concern. The problems appear to be more causes and severe possible solution as we will expand there. Perhaps the main cause is the lack of investment, funding, and infrastructure in the form of high-capacity public transport and increased road space for private vehicles. This means that too many vehicles use the existing network, and congestion is inevitable. We see this in most large cities globally, such as London, Tokyo. Many conurbations also lack famine, but for transport hubs such as integrated road and air rail facilities which could connect public and private transport, and thus reducing blockades. A further cause seems to be a problem of overcrowding in cities whereby people migrate from hinterland to settle in urban areas, putting strain in amenities, housing, above all transport capacity. This means that the already stretched system is often published in critical point in causing cancellation, breakdowns in the technological use, especially in situations urban growth in such development. Regarding potential solution, probably the main remedy would be encourage investment in better infrastructure. For example, through subsidizing publicly-private partnership as it tried successfully in Germany during 1990s, enhance network forces sense civic pride to everyone's benefit. Another solution may be to use a tax incentive to allow more home working so that there is less need to commute from suburbs to inherit cities. For final response might develop more flexible partner centers such as communal carpooling, which could reduce reliance on existing systems and vehicles. In conclusion, it seems that outdated infrastructure and overcrowding are the key factors behind our transport frustrations. Possible solution would involve better funding and also innovations in a way of working and traveling, reducing boundaries or systems. 311 words. Explanation of public vocabulary and example in IELTS. Urban adjective means about cities. Urban crime is a great concern for authorities in most countries today. Investment of funding, money to pay for activity, either from government or business. My hometown secured investment from charity for new stadium and funding from local company for sponsorship. Infrastructure is physical and system organization of a city or country, especially in terms of transport and communications. As the UK railway infrastructure dates back to the 1960s in many places. High capacity, able to handle high volume or good people. Sea container ships are high capacity international freight providers. Public transport such as buses and trains owned by the state, at the opposite to private transport such as cars owned by individuals. I usually get to work by public transport, even so it's very crowded. Congestion situation of too much traffic causing delays. The phrase traffic jam is not generally used in American English. Traffic jam, alright. I have phrase traffic jam is not generally used in academic English. Alright. Congestion. I have to leave home very early in the morning because of congestion on the way to my college. Congestion. Conurbations. Very large cities which have absorbed other towns. São Paulo is huge. Conurbation is Brazil and is still expanding. Conurbations. That's a good word. Transport hub centers where many routes coverage. Here, Heathrow Airport is the largest transport hub in the Europe. Facilities, amenities, place providing any service to the public, either private or public sectors. Okay, battery is slowing down, but I try to read as fast as I can. Facilities homes out, bottleneck and place where congestion regularly happens. Connection from motorway to local road is always big bottlenecks. Overcrowding situation where too many people try to live in one place. Hong Kong has managed the overcrowding problem very skillfully. Entered an area around city affected by its development, lived in our capacity city where it regularly go for shopping and for work projects, settle in a place, move and live in this area permanently, usually with work and family. I was born in Asia, but my parents settled in the USA when I was young. Urban sprawl situation where cities expected building and construction without control loads. Urban sprawls have resulted in rapid extension of many Asian cities where resulting damaging environment. Public-private partnership projects funded jointly by the government and business to reduce the cost of taxpayers. Many countries has just installed a new tunnel on the central mountain to run by public-private partnership. A civic pride felt town city where you live, its people and infrastructure. As a symbol of civic pride, by building new park zone with sport amenities, educational exhibition, tax incentives, reduction in tax, also encounter people to do or buy something. We should use tax incentives to encounter more people try to use their own solar panels at home. Working in your home for all or
our part of the week. Home working can be quite an isolated way to do your job. To commute, travel long distance to work every day. I live in a suburb and I commute training city center. Suburbs are residential area around city lives and urban that can be rather boring, to be honest. In inner city is the older central part of the city. Inner city housing often overcrowded and noisy. Communal carpooling, voluntary system for people to travel in shared cars to reduce fuel use. I tried carpooling, but it was difficult to arrange a journey with 3 other people. Outdated, old-fashioned, and not relevant today. I find that our political parties are very outdated. This is innovations, the new ideas or things which are usually useful, exciting mobile. While computing was one of the great inventions in the last 10 years, burden, weight, or responsibility which is difficult to cope with, burden, income tax, which much to this day is normal for people. Okay, 20 more minutes left, but our battery is dying. I'll try to set a charger right there, but I will not pause the video. I can continue. I want to end this after finishing anyway, so I can continue. I continue reading, right? I continue reading. So it's, let me tell you the time, 11:50. Time is 11:50. Alright. Topic 9: Countryside and agriculture. Topic 9: Countryside and agriculture. Topics cover social physical change in the countryside, rural versus urban lifestyles, ways of using the countryside, and method of farming, including farming and crops. It may seem surprising, but agriculture is actually one of the most common topics in IELTS cross writing, reading, speaking, and listening tests. This means that you should definitely learn the agricultural vocabulary as a part of your exam preparation, even if your subject is not personally interesting for you. It's sometimes said that the countries offer high quality of life, especially for families. What are the arguments against families choosing to live and work in the countryside? For example, as a farmer, what is your own view about this? This is an opinion discussion time, so you should introduce the topic, present 2 or 3 ideas of each side of discussions, and give your opinion in the conclusion. The task asks you specifically to think families, experiments. You should include some ideas about this. Always check carefully to see if the task has any extra specific inclusion. If you miss this, it may affect your score badly. Bad 9 more, let's say. There can be few choices in life more important than we settle as a family, and the question of an urban or rural location of complex. There are strong arguments for against living in the countryside, as we will discuss now. On the one hand, it might be said that countries are rather backwater with fewer cultural amenities than cities, and for museums, theaters, and even sporting events. This may mean the families become isolated, especially as rural depopulation leaves fewer countries dwellers in the area. As we see, for example, in central France, added to this scarcity of school and college, meaning that children may need to travel long distance from their education. Finally, career options may be limited to countryside for both parents and children, resulting in rural unemployment and long-term rural poverty in worst case. Conversely, life in countryside has rewards in which go beyond material considerations. For example, abundance of natural resources such as land, wildlife, forests, and water bodies means that comparative simple life can be lived in a subsistence level. Many countries' residents are self-sufficient holders in this sense, safeguarding from change in their wider economy, which can afflict city dwellers. In the parent of farmers, children learn the importance of animal husbandry, method of farming such as crop rotation, irrigation, and generally many become more in tune with natural world. As a result, finally, as technological enables children to inducing distance learning, remote viewing, cultural attractions such as museums, they should be less isolated from their cultural heritage. Overall, this seems to be more to me that the quality of life countryside today is indeed quite high, with its advantages, resource self-sufficiency, environmental awareness. This is especially true not communication are reducing risk of isolation such farming communities. 317 words explanation of topic, vocabulary, example, and speaking. Rural adjectives of countryside. I come from rural area originally, although these days I live in our capital city, backward, an area of countries where little integration happens. I used to live in an agricultural town, but frankly it was such a backward area. I moved to one larger city. Rural depopulation, long-term term for people to migrate from countries to cities, living in rural areas, fewer people. Rural depopulation can cause huge problems with the local infrastructure. There are even popular cities and transport.
Country dwellers, people who live in the countryside. City dwellers, people who live in cities. Country dwellers. My parents were country dwellers when they first met, but now we all live in a coastal town. A scarcity, lack of shortage or something is the worst problem I experienced in these countries. I was real scarcity, sports event and musical festival. Rural unemployment affecting rural work, especially rural unemployment, have been emerged innovative internet startups. Rural poverty, being extremely poor in our countryside. Rural poverty is a long-term situation exacerbated by lack of infrastructure and training. Material construction, concerned about money and material possessions. You can only think of material construction when deciding who to marry, I feel. An abundance, a very high level of supply ability of something in mountains, cities, abundance of wildflowers and goats, wildlife. Animals living naturally in the wild. It's surprising how many wildlife can see. Suburban Australia, forestry in industry of growing and cultivating trees. When I graduate, I want to work for forestry, responsible forestry company. And water bodies, inland areas of water, river, lakes, reservoirs, etc. My country is very arid and almost no water bodies. Subsistence, adjective meaning, produce in the land just enough live on. Subsistence farmers grow their own food but have little left to sell their profit. Self-sufficient, not needing important to buy resources from outside the farm countries. During war, our country became self-sufficient in crops and fuel. Smallholders, farmers, managers, very small farm, usually with their families. I worked in project training smallholders South Africa in how to lobby politicians to reform wider economy. National economy and economy business is growing despite the decline in wider economy. To afflict, instead of you can use affect, use problem and disease to use for problems. Many forests in many areas afflicted by wood disease which attacks the trees. Animal husbandry, skill of keeping animals. My sister studied animal husbandry at college and enjoyed it enormously. Crop rotation, the process of using different fields each year to keep fossil healthy. Small households do not practice crop rotation and so their land becomes infiltrated. Remote viewing placed by internet on person. I took remote viewing tour on Metropolitan Museum, New York, and found it very impressive. Entertainment, awareness, and understanding environmental issue. Environmental awareness is part of school curriculum these days of most children. Far-flung, remote or far away. My fiance lives in a very far-flung village, but we keep in touch by Skype. Okay, finally topic 10, and yeah, I'm glad that we reached here, that it said that very few parts left. Alright, let me start with the part 10, topic 10, government and authorities. Alright, well, my hair is not very good, yeah. About topic 10, government authorities. Topic most likely include law and order, crime and policy, injustice and punishment. Occasionally, TASH may refer to way of managing public service and relations between countries. TASH may also ask about public policy in terms of funding. How should prisons be run by government or private organization? But we will not ask for your political or view or about actual events in these countries. Some observers say that police officers should be recruited from committees where they work so that they have local knowledge. Other people say that this method is unnecessary or even undesirable. Where do you stand on this debate? Is local knowledge essential in modern policing? So this is an opinion and personal viewpoint. Task, you should introduce topic and give your opinion. Introduce, then explain why you have this view. You should briefly consider this opposing view when reiterating your conclusions. The task has specific interpretation to decide whether your local knowledge is essential. You should refer to this part of your opinion. Band 9 models the need for effective, trustworthy policy officers is paramount in society today, especially as a criminal, to become more devious and creative regardless of whether policy should be locally hired. There is a case to be made on both sides of the debate. Those who support the local recruitment of the officer's point and need to police understand the meaning of this local community. For example, community may have certainty, friction, or the history of specific governments, whether the religious, political, or otherwise. In such situations, as the argument goes, political policy need to show sensitivity, also able to participate in kinds of crimes that may create it. Furthermore, local officers may find it easier to gain information in the community, leading to stronger evidence at rituals, higher conviction rates, and deteriorating crime through sentencing, impersonating, fine, and community service, and leading rehabilitation of the offender. On the one hand, it seems likely that the officers from the community may in fact share some of the tendency or the people they grow up from this. For example, in countries such as Mexico, we see the high independence of corruption among local businesses and government community, which equalize bribery among police. The second objection is that local sensitivity may lead to the police failing to enforce the law fully and effectively, making expectations of others which is inequitable towards law-abiding citizens. Finally, we must remember that police officers should have transferable skills such as laterally thinking and investigatability, which should tendency by background or the environment they are working in. Overall, it seems to me that local knowledge is that absolutely essential for the police, whose skills should be effective in any context. Indeed, I agree with this who says that the risks of local criminal outweigh the benefit because of danger or corruption and over familiarity with the potential offenders. Trustworthy, capable of being trusted. 318 words. Explanation of topic, vocabulary, and example in speaking. Right, trustworthy, capable of being trusted. In most countries, politicians are regarded as trustworthy and possible prominent of great importance. It's prominent that we found solution problem, internet privacy, devious, extremely clever and dishonest way. Online criminal today, the devious use many different methods to deceive their victims, imitate pronouns, minutiae, what the hell is this? Minutiae, alright. Small details. Nobody really understands the minutiae of the new tax code, whose grievance of issue which makes people upset or angry for a long period. Some towns and countries have agreements in central government because land reforms laws. Sensitivity, being alert to the circumstances of a specific group of people. Teachers should show sensitive students who have longer difficulties to commit an official crime to do it. The president committed murder when he arranged his opponents to be assassinated. Informant. People have what is it? People who tell the police useful information about criminal in their area. Informants. The police paid the informant for information about two organized riots. Evidence. Marshall presented in court to prove that someone is guilty or innocent. The police had a lot of DNA evidence against her, but no witness statement. So Rachel, the legal procedure of prosecuting someone for crime, murder trial can last for many weeks and cost millions of euros to conduct. Conviction rates. The percentage of accused people who are convicted or found to be guilty of crime. Conviction rates for burglary are low. Only about 30% of trial results in conviction. Deterrent. Something that makes people not want to do something work or to deter. We have guard dog as a deterrent against integrated at night. It deters people from coming into our garden. Sentencing. Action of telling convicted criminal with what the punishment is. Verb in sentence. Imprisonment. Punishment by being in prison. He was sentenced to 5 years imprisonment for the armed robbery or shop. Fine. Money paid as punishment. Fine for spending in my country is about 200 euros. Community service. Punishment by doing manual work for the publicity. Her community service consists of cleaning and towards bags, sweeping litter in streets. Rehabilitation. Process of changing criminal's character that does not commit more crimes. Work to rehabilitate someone. Someone prison use music and drama to rehabilitate offenders. Others say there is no point in training an offender. Person who commits an offense, the government should provide training to offenders in prison that they do not return crime again when they leave. Tendencies in plain due to your character usually negative. Some young people in cities have tendency towards graffiti and vandalism. Corruption is a crime when officials break the law to help people that he knows. Corruption is widespread in police in some developing countries. Bribery is a crime of giving money to officials to get something done or to bribe someone. I had to bribe customs inspector to get my luggage through the airport. To enforce laws to apply them to people. The police are not enforcing the law about dropping legal public. They should arrest more people for this inequitability, unfair, different for different groups. It is inequitable to arrest young people for spending, but not all the people. Law abiding, following all the laws and in proper way. I'm law abiding citizen. I never break speed limit or any other laws. Transferable skills that can be used in different situations. I have transferable skills which I use in both my personal and career and my mind raising work curriculum. Lateral thinking, the ability to think creatively in a new way. Facebook and Google great companies examples that have grown. And lateral thinking, investigation, adjectives from investigate, input about cause, crime or problems. Police refuse investigate prime minister leading to accusation of corruption. To transcend the situation to be bigger and be beyond the need of redundancy, financial waste, transparency, government. Everybody should be spending money more carefully, context-specific situation. Armed police evidently work well in American context, but would be less effective in a British context. The outweigh to be more important than the advantage of having digital car outweigh cost. Our familiarity. When official is too friendly with the public, we should discourage our familiarity between judges and lawyers because it could lead to corruption. Okay, alright, I finished all 10 topics. Now I may read some text provided. That is the last text. After that we can conclude this this experiment. I would say experiment. Developing in your IELTS vocabulary. That completes our explanation of the IELTS topic. It's very important not now to try to start using these words in your speaking and writing as much as possible. In addition to reading this book, and try to maintain interest in the 10 IELTS topics by reading articles, posting posts and stories on the social media. This will let you see further examples of how these words or phrases are used, and may also show you some further vocabulary which you can use. Reading about topics will also give you evidence, examples, statistics which can include your IELTS essays and spoken answers, showing examiners that you are well informed, able to use source support arguments. Okay, if you watched until here, thanks so much for watching. Really, I'm really grateful because, as you can see, it's not that really hard to finish one book. You can just sit and read it for your own sake, not for anyone else. Yeah, we can reach a goal. You can get higher mark if you improve your vocabulary. And yeah, I'm really happy that I could spend some time very effectively. And yeah, I don't know what else to say, but please keep watching us, and thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.